into the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
It is really hard not to sing along with this. It is super hard. Hello, Steven Universe fans, and welcome back to the AfterBuzz TV Steven Universe After Show. We are covering episodes 72 and 73, Back to the Barn and Too Far, and the short Hot Dog Duffel Bag. Before we get started, I'm going to let my wonderful hosts introduce themselves.
I'm Emma Fife.
As we grind to a halt.
I was just gonna let Elena go first, but I guess I'll just jump right in there. I'm Emma Fife. You can follow me all over the internet at Emma Fife, which is my name. So I like to keep it simple.
I am Elena Jordan. You can find me on Twitter at Elena Jordan. I also appreciate the simple things.
Exactly.
And I'm Katie Cullen. You can find me on Twitter at Kiaje because I make things super complicated. We're also checking the hashtag ABTVSU, and we are going to have the live chat up on the monitor, so if you have anything fun to say, any questions, anything you'd like to discuss, throw them in the hashtag or in the live chat, and we will talk about them. What did you think of these episodes, you guys?
Listen, there was a lot of homeworld building, and I am into that, is basically what I'm going to say about that. I mean, and I thought that the two episodes that we had went very well together. And it was certainly a lot about character development on the part of Peridot and her sort of beginning to integrate herself into the Gem group.
How do I Earth?
Yeah, exactly. And it was, I liked her misunderstandings of human culture and humor, and it was cute. I've got a little soft spot for a little teeny tiny Peridot.
She's so tiny. Like, taking away the limb enhancers has just made her this tiny little thing, and you can't help but love her.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, she's a puppy now.
Yeah, she's so small and angry.
She is. She's a tiny angry Dorito.
Mm-hmm. I loved both of these episodes. I do love that it felt almost like one big episode when you watch them kind of together too, because it is so seamless, and we get to see. I'm excited to see more. I wish that there wasn't that little hiatus in between. But
the hiatus is killing me, because getting these two episodes and then waiting, I rewatched them again today, and as much as I love them, there is not enough Steven. Like, we had these very Peridot-heavy episodes that were, this is all the stuff you wanted to know about Homeworld. Yes, pearls are made to order. Yes, this. Yes, that. Congratulations, your fan theories are confirmed. And holy cow, fan theories really know what they're talking about. Dang, you guys. Dang. But we didn't have a lot of Steven. And going into hiatus, I'm kind of sad that that's what we were left with, is these episodes where it's like, no, I want more of the small child telling me that it's just a drill and making this really terrible pun. Like, that. Yes, that.
Yeah, I mean, it is true that, certainly these episodes were not particularly focused on Steven, and indeed a good portion of the second episode was Peridot trying to figure out what Steven was, which was very entertaining.
And wanting Senpai to notice her.
Yeah, basically. But I don't know. This is the thing, is I like that Steven universe, even though ultimately it is about Steven, there is a lot of focus on the adult characters, and even when it's not about Steven, a good portion of the episode is still about how he relates to the adults, quote unquote, in his life.
Yeah.
I really liked that it also had the interactions with these characters that are based on them realizing things that they didn't even know about themselves, and kind of really highlighting that when we have the Steven heavy episodes. It's not really the case. So I like that it was able to kind of put this empowering message of be true to yourself and love yourself for who you are and keep working to be better, and that's amazing, without being too hit you over the head with it.
Believe in yourself.
I'm just missing. I'm just missing Steven going into hiatus. That's all.
Yeah.
It's like, nope, needs more Steven to tide me over.
Yeah, no, I
So I
agree.
think that's why they gave us hot dog duffel bag.
Yes, which was 100% Steven.
Let's knock that one out because that short was adorable.
And just so Steven, like, that's the thing is I feel like within the reality of this universe, you would believe that Steven would be influenced by the kind of stuff that he was seeing on the internet. So of course he's doing unboxing videos.
And I love that the star transition is like, no, that's totally something his camera can do. Or no, he put that in post.
Right.
Because there's post for this video. Of course there is.
Listen, Steven put a lot of work into this.
He really did. And the postman's name is Jamie, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Jamie asking for a copy
for his reel. That was amazing.
It's like, you are way too LA for Beach City.
I also loved when I assume, we never really saw it on camera, but I assume it was a squid kind of monster that they were fighting because it shot ink and you kind of associate that with squids, or it shot an inky, tarry kind of substance.
Slime resistance.
Yeah, that was, I loved that, yeah. So, I liked the little details that went into it, and it was very characteristic of Steven, I felt, because there was a lot of bad things going on in the background, and yet Steven just was being positive, putting a positive spin on everything, which is what we've come to expect of him. Yeah.
And Lion going after the box, I really appreciated, because I have a cat, and if there's a box, it's hers. Regardless of what's in it or where it is, it's hers.
Yep.
If I fits, it sits. Then it's just the internet cat meme rule.
And if it doesn't fit, we drag it all over the house at 2 a.m.
And make it. Yep.
Yeah. So I love my cat. But yeah, do we have anything else to say about the short, or just tiny, adorable, very Steven?
Tiny, adorable, very Steven, and I like to see Lion exhibiting cat behavior.
Lion being a very large cat.
I like
is
it
just
I like it when cats cat around,
Well, you've seen like the videos of lions
cats.
in real life playing with soccer balls and whatnot. They really are just very big cats.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And what does the internet love more than cats? He's crushing it. He knows.
It's true.
And it was a nice compliment to the episodes, I think, too, because, like we mentioned, that didn't have a lot of Steven per se. I mean, he threw his little one-liners in, but...
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, this is what happens between missions and between episodes. We get unboxing videos, and I'm fairly certain that this was probably shown on their version of whatever At Midnight is. Like, what kind of monster do you think they were fighting back there, or something? Like, this went viral.
Yeah.
I would love to see that show as the
At Midnight of the Steven Universe. Yep.
I would watch that TV program.
I would absolutely watch it.
One of the gems winds up as a contestant.
Yeah.
Oh boy, here we go.
I wonder what their universe's Chris Hardwick is like.
Kind of like Jamie, I would imagine.
We do have one comment on the hashtag from @TigerVersionX, a dear friend of ours from the Transformers AfterShow, says, I wasn't sure about Peridot, but now I basically want the team to expand with her and Lapis. Now, NAOOOW.
I'm a little worried about Peridot's chances of overall survival for the season,
right,
because she's not in the theme.
This is true.
I mean, they might redraw it later and have her in there, and yay, but I'm looking at a face heel turn or a heroic sacrifice.
Yeah.
Because I'm that person. If you've seen me on the other shows, I'm sitting here going, oh yeah, they're gonna die, and they're gonna die, and they're gonna die. I'm that person.
Yeah, but again, I don't think that that's outside the realm of possibility given the history of this show.
And aside from Rose, we haven't had an actual character death here.
That is
We've
true.
just had some poofing, and that's traumatic enough. Right, so let's talk
Traumatic
a little bit more
poof.
about
New band name I called it.
poofing.
Traumatic poof.
That's the name of my 9 Inch Nails cover band.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
So we start off back to the barn with learning about the cluster and the little apocalypse diagram.
Okay. So first of all, we talked about this on the last episode. So the cluster basically is Unicron.
Yeah,
basically.
the cluster is Unicron, you guys.
But I loved when number one, Peridot was explaining it, thus confirming exactly what we had discussed previously.
And hitting poor Steven with a fly swatter.
Yes. Oh, I loved that. And I loved when Steven punched through with the puppet.
Yes.
And she's like, what
It doesn't look
that?
like that.
I'm changing my band name to Cluster Puppet. Because that was just an awesome part where
It's
it
still a
doesn't
9 Inch
look
Nails
like
cover band.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and we had that parallel a little later with, Steven, it's a lovely drawing, but it's not going to look like that.
I know, yeah.
It's like your artistic skills are being maligned, honey.
I know, but it was nice too, I thought, to see that juxtaposition between the way that Peridot interacts, who hasn't developed any human tact.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas Pearl has spent a lot of time on Earth, and so she has those kind of social graces. Whereas Peridot's just like, what are you doing? That's weird. And Pearl's like, nope, not quite, honey, but good try.
An attempt was made.
Yeah.
It's not perfect, but I've learned to accept that.
Yeah.
And going back to the barn, for one, isn't this only the second time we've seen it? And we still have
Yes.
no idea why it has all these robotics in it.
Yeah.
Greg has a barn.
Yep.
That's what I've been missing from these episodes. Where's Greg?
Well,
We had a lot of, Dad taught me a lot of stuff. Well, let's talk to this dad, and then...
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. We've had a lot of mentions of Greg lately, but he hasn't really been in it so much, which is a shame.
I'm a really big Greg fan, so I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I need Greg and Peridot. Like,
Yeah.
didn't you try to kidnap my son once?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I'm definitely waiting for the Greg Peridot episode.
Because it will be a thing of wonder and beauty. And the big deal about this episode is Pearl and the reveals that we get, that they're little made-to-order shiny baubles that are just meant to be little pretty servants. And so fandom was 100% on the nose for this one.
Yeah.
I was really impressed that it's like, congratulations, fans, your theories are confirmed. Well done.
Yeah, I always like the plot line of the sort of basic model, if you will, rising beyond what it was actually intended for.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that just because, been doing the Rebels show and been revisiting Clone Wars, it's kind of something that we see in that as well, where, in Clone Wars in particular, and now that the clones have come back in Rebels, it's like we see that you have these people that were made specifically for one task. In the case of like a Pearl character, apparently it's to stand around and look pretty and hold your stuff.
Which, that's gotta suck for your lot in life.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah, totally. With the case of the clones and the Rebels and the whole Star Wars universe, is that it's, they got rid of their chips, they rose above their directive, and now they're leading lives of free will. Ultimately, they are still soldiers. And, in the case of Pearl, she's really overcome simply being an accessory.
And this is really against everything on Homeworld, and I think that's why we needed Peridot for this, was here's all your information on Homeworld, here's all your more than implications, like here's how society works on Homeworld, and here's how someone who's been socialized in this very caste-based, very regimented society is suddenly on Earth going, I don't understand what is happening.
Yeah.
And also seeing why these individual characters are unique versus Homeworld. We see that in both episodes, is that, whether they call it defective or, just a difference, it shows that they are unique, which then makes them even more special within our universe that is here on Earth, just seeing them instead of seeing all of them, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it's going to be horrific, but I really want to see Homeworld Pearls now.
Yeah.
That will be so bad.
That is going to haunt your nightmares, though. But
they're just going to be, kind of soulless little servants. Is there anything else I can get you, Yellow Diamond?
Yeah, I imagine that they are kind of
drones.
Yeah, but like
a little soulless.
A little in a kind of just pretty vapid, pseudo sexy way.
Well, I'm fairly certain that's somebody's fetish. I want it, but it's going to be bad.
I have to say, I thought that your favorite part of this episode would be giant robots fighting.
Oh, no, that was absolutely my favorite part of the episode. And I also loved, I don't know if any of you guys felt this way, I felt like the suit that Pearl was wearing during the robot battle kind of reminded me of a plug suit.
Yeah.
From Evangelion.
Well, we've had how many years of fighting robots since Gundam and possibly before that? We're working with like 50, 60 years of if you have giant robots, they fight.
Yeah.
So Steven, and we're doing the Olympics so that the giant robots shouldn't fight.
Yeah.
Like, oh honey, oh you sweet summer child.
Yeah, no, I loved the whole giant robot plot of this. Why not? I love giant robots.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a known fact.
And the designs of the robots pretty much being an extension of their personalities.
Yes, I loved that Pearl's had the traffic cone nose.
I loved that when they were competing for speed and both hit the tree, that the tree got a point. I was like, yes.
Did you notice the tree had more than 1 point in the final standings?
Yeah. And a lot of it was, too much of it was subjective by that point.
Subjective won. Subjective had the most points.
That was great. And that was, and I loved that was in reference to the paintings that they did of Amethyst.
Yes.
And I love how quickly at the beginning Steven went from we can all get along to you should build giant robots.
Yeah, well, and
like wow.
I was gonna say, and another one of my favorite moments in that too was when Garnet and Amethyst showed up. And they had already started making the robots, and Amethyst is like, "Are we working on the drill?" And he's like, "No, we're making robots."
Like, okay,
it's how I imagine any of us would talk in that scenario.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, just the fact that they went along with it, like, oh, okay, Steven's doing a thing, and everyone's involved. All right, popcorn.gif. Let's do this.
Yeah, I loved it.
And then them finally fighting, and Pearl punching Peridot in the face.
I know, yeah. We actually, K-Bits in the chat, I believe it was, made a comment about Pearl punching Peridot in the face and how it was amazing.
Awesome. All in caps. Yes, well, that is an all in caps moment, because that's very much the assertion of I am just a Pearl, but I'm me, and I am better than this and better than you.
Well, and I mean, that was ultimately the lesson of this whole episode.
Yeah.
Was, in the end, it was about how, even though in the battle, Peridot arguably won.
I think there's a lot of arguably about that. that was one very wrecked robot.
Yeah. Okay, so Peridot won.
Peridot clearly won.
But it was about her learning that just because you are the strongest, physically, and you technically win doesn't mean that you're gonna earn people's respect.
Yeah.
Well,
we also got the winning isn't everything moral.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that she flat out says, I won. What about the rules?
Yeah.
Say, welcome to Earth.
I know, that was great. Yeah.
I was like, yep, that's about right.
That's right.
I didn't think anyone could deliver that line better than Will Smith. And then...
So good. So good.
Because that's just one of those moments of Peridot sitting there going, huh.
Yeah.
I don't think we're at Homeworld anymore, Toto.
And we talked about how there's a lack of Steven in this episode, but I actually thought Steven's final moments in this episode were really, really good when he was explaining to Peridot, when Peridot was mad, saying, she's just a Pearl. Why are you all, she's nothing. Why are you all listening to her? And Steven, kind of reiterates the fact that she is a Pearl and she's not meant to do these things, but she taught herself to fight and she taught herself to build stuff.
And she works every day to be better than she is, and that's not common. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it is, Steven.
Yes, it is.
You're amazing.
You just want to hug him.
I know. It's the best.
Yeah, that for being packed in, 12 minutes?
Yeah.
There's a
That's
lot.
a big message in 12 minutes.
Yeah.
The series is particularly good at that. It's like, oh no, we only have 12, 15 minutes for this. Let's make you feel like you watched an hour's worth of content. But not in the draggy, my pacing is awful way, but the, we put a heck of a lot in here. Now go unpack that and we'll see you next week.
Yeah. I want to address, so K-Bits in the chat says Peridot is a little lonely, I think. And I think that you're right. But I also think that Peridot doesn't understand enough about human emotion to realize that she's lonely.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
she's also probably in a lot of culture shock.
Oh,
Nobody's
yeah.
acting how they're supposed to. The one
Right.
who's in charge shouldn't be in charge.
Right, exactly.
Really, really not understanding the whole fusion thing.
Yeah.
And again, also not understanding emotion.
Yep.
Which has a lot of really heavy, messed up implications for Homeworld.
Yeah.
Like, how do you live in this society?
Well, and speaking of messed up implications, Andrew Fedge, which is at Tiger version X in the chat, says, Katie, are you suggesting, on the Twitter hashtag rather, says, Katie, are you suggesting pearls are Borg?
I'm actually suggesting that pearls are oyster snot. They're made in oysters, you guys. This was in real life. Come on. You're looking at me like I'm crazy. You know how pearls are made.
we know pearls are made.
And the fun thing is, you can kind of tie this back. In real life, pearls are straight up manufactured.
They are.
You don't manufacture a lot of gems, but you can walk to the local mall, find a Nahoku store, and be like, we're going to sell you the oyster so you can open your own little pearl. Isn't that great?
Right, and it's like,
no, I don't want to buy an oyster. What the heck is this?
Yeah.
I've done it.
Special. You've done it?
Done it a few times.
What do you do with the pearl?
You make it into a
Make it hold your
necklace
stuff?
or a ring,
Nah.
or you can make it into stuff. I'm from Alabama, so we would vacation in Panama City, and that was like the highlight.
Oh, yeah.
That was like a big to do.
They had it at every store, which
could
you could
see
just go and get a pearl. So we did. It never held my stuff though, so I feel betrayed.
Seriously.
Yeah, you got a little shorted on the personal pearls thing. That fun real life parallels. Let's swing into the next episode, Too Far, which is kind of an interesting title because you can pull it 2 or 3 different ways.
Yeah.
But in much the same way, we went back to the barn, and this one, I keep calling it the graveyard. It reminds me of the Keyblade graveyard, and it's not.
The kindergarten?
It's the kindergarten
Yeah.
graveyard. It reminds me of the Keyblade graveyard. It's
Yeah.
just this little slice of rocky hell, and
Yeah.
nothing good ever happens there.
No, it's awful.
Like,
yeah.
people die there. It's great. No. Yeah.
People die there. It's great.
And all the Kingdom Hearts fans in the audience are like, I never thought of that, and now I can't unsee it. You're welcome.
Yeah.
So Peridot has she's basically keeping Star Trek captain's logs in this little handheld tape recorder she's got.
It was so great.
I particularly love running out of ways to say Claude.
Yes.
I just love that they were like, why did you even give her this? And
I know. Yeah.
it seems like, she doesn't have anything. We can just let her talk to herself, so maybe she won't talk to us so much. That's how I saw
Well,
it.
we feel bad for taking her equipment because she was obviously very attached to her logs and to documenting everything. So it's not the same, but we're trying.
Here you go.
So she's keeping track of I have to say this stood out to me, and it's just 2 little throwaway lines from Garnet. Her coming in and saying, I chased away the cows, let's get to work. Like, there were cows at this barn?
Yeah, I know.
Like, Greg owns livestock and he lives in a van. I'm really confused as to how this world works.
Listen, when you're Mr. Universe, you can just do anything. I'm just,
Except have self-confidence,
I
evidently.
know. Well,
Tell me I'm wrong.
no, you're not.
Tell me I'm wrong.
No.
She's giving me the sad face, like, why would you say
it's
that?
true.
Because it's
Why
horribly,
it's so sad.
horribly true.
I just want to have a Talk Like Peridot day.
I know.
Oh my god!
Wouldn't that just be amazing?
What I love about that is that butts are universal.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was so hilarious.
Scent sponges and vision spears and touch stumps, but that's your butt.
Yep.
And in that moment, I swear we were all 5 years old.
Yep.
Cranial covers off to you, Peridot.
Oh! Just butts are universal.
They won't get any better.
Yeah.
That's my jokes won't get any better song. You're welcome.
That's okay. We know why we're here. Roaming gangs of cows, says Andrew Fidge. It's Steven Universe. Who takes care of the cows? They're feral. They're feral cows at this point. Who knows?
Maybe he rents the land to someone who owns the cows. That's legit, K-Bits.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I will say again, being from Alabama, I've encountered many a wild cow.
Oh, what, just wild cows?
Yep. They just roam the woods, and you go tubing down the Cahaba River, and you just watch for cows, and they're just in the river. And get away from them.
Are these like people's escaped cows, or these are just naturally occurring in nature?
Chill in the woods cows. That's just their home.
Wow.
That is the most Alabama thing I think I've ever heard.
So I feel like I connect with you, Steven Universe. I understand having to chase off the cows to get some work done. Be it building a drill to save the world from the cluster or just trying to get down the river. The struggles are the same.
Did you ever run into a cow in the river? Like, what happens when that occurs?
You avoid the cow. You don't want to smack into them. They're hot. They're just chilling in the river. That's how you see them.
Oh no, Captain, cows did it!
They have no other reason to interact with people. They just also want to be in the river.
That makes me super happy. Anyway, feral cows. It's. I learned something new. It's a good.
You're welcome,
night.
chat. We're paying attention.
They exist.
Hashtag chillin' cows, says Ginger Flair.
Nice.
So that the only reason I bring that up is because later on, when everything's broken, Garnet just goes, "I blame the cows."
I know.
Okay. The noodle incident has come back around.
Listen, as we have just learned from Elena, cows can cause some damage.
A ruckus.
So
A ruckus. Okay.
you gotta watch out.
And we learned that Peridot is super bad with metaphor.
Yep, she is real bad.
I love characters that don't know how to people. It's one of my favorite tropes. That's why I've been loving Minority Report, because our main character does not know how to society and doesn't know how to people.
Right.
And Peridot's a very extreme version of this.
Right, in that she doesn't understand metaphors at all. She doesn't understand.
She doesn't know how to earth.
Yeah.
But just the whole "you're killing me" thing. I am not. That would violate our truce agreement.
That was amazing.
No, honey.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I really enjoyed that a lot. I also enjoyed, so the last episode was Peridot starting to have a little bit of an, I hesitate to say understanding of, but in the end,
It's the beginning of an epiphany.
She starts to connect with Pearl in that, okay, I admit that you can build stuff as well as I do. So we're going to work on this drill together.
Yeah.
And this episode was about her kind of latching on to Amethyst and having more of an understanding with her. And
she thinks that Amethyst should be the HBIC,
she
according
does.
to Homeworld rules.
She does, yeah. But I liked, too, because somebody brought it up in the chat earlier. I apologize for not remembering whose name it was. That, this is going back to the idea that Peridot is a little bit lonely, that she doesn't understand human enough to recognize that that's the emotion that she's experiencing. So, she latched on to Steven in the When It Rains episode. In a way, she connected with Pearl in the last episode, and now in this episode, she's really latching on to Amethyst.
She's going for people who are showing her empathy.
Yeah.
Except for Pearl, which was impress me. But Amethyst interacting with her is definitely giving her grief, but she's not like tying her to a fence post or anything.
No.
That was a beautiful social faux pas, by the way.
Well, and honestly, Amethyst was in her very Amethyst-like way expressing some affection towards Peridot earlier in the episode when she was asking her to name all of her body parts with the weird homeworld names for them. And then in the end, she's like, "You're so funny." And
it's like, what is
Peridot's like,
funny?
what is that? And then, I think she comes to start to recognize that is a good thing, and hence the connection that she makes with Amethyst in this episode.
It's behavior that gets approval,
right.
and she wants approval.
Yeah, she's
so
definitely
it's like,
seeking approval.
I'm going to do more of it because it makes her laugh, and that's good, right?
Yeah.
Notice me, senpai!
I love that it shows, even though she doesn't know the name for these emotions, because she doesn't really know the name for anything, and she lives in a world that is apparently full of very vapid, emotionless creatures. So she hasn't had to really register these things, but she still has a sense of what feels small and what feels big. And having it kind of set up where, even though she can't fully place what it is, she's starting to grasp, I've never sat and thought about these things. And it was just portrayed in a really, really cool way.
Yeah. I honestly think the only emotion she's really had to deal with on Homeworld are anxiety and gloating. things are going bad and things are going well, so it sucks to be you.
Yeah.
And that's it. So getting into the full spectrum and experiencing it with Steven, who is genetically impossible but somehow still there, and these three, the island of misfit toys, essentially, is a new experience. And I think it's also good for kids. Because again, we bring it back. This is a kids program. This is that's not meant to be derivative, but that is the age range that they're targeting.
Right.
And just giving kids the tools to say, no, I want to do this. No, I want to be like Pearl. I want to be more than this. Or I kind of felt like Amethyst did when Peridot was telling her these things. Or I feel like Peridot right now. I don't feel good.
Right. Well, you know, this is something that we talked about on the last episode, and something that, you know, Steven Universe does really well is dealing with these characters who their circumstances or their parents, in the case of a character like Connie, are trying to pigeonhole them into being one thing. And what happens in Steven Universe more often than not is that they don't become those things that society expects them to be, or that their parents expect them to be. And that is a really, really good lesson to teach kids, which is, you know, you don't have to be what people expect you to be, and whether that is not living up to unrealistic expectations of perfection, or being more than people are saying you can be. Either way, it's good.
And understanding that what other people expect you to be, or what society expects you to be because of what you are as opposed to who you are. Is not always going to work for you. And it's okay to go off of who you are instead of your position, your whatever.
Yeah,
you are one of whatever demographic. Why aren't you acting like that? Instead of, you are an individual, don't be defined by anything besides who you are. And it's, I love too, you know, that they have these different lessons that are kind of circumvented, because you think about, even with teaching emotions to kids, is they have the chart of, I feel happy, I feel sad, I feel this, and they're learning to name the emotions, kind of like Peridot is having to learn how to name these emotions, but without hitting you over the head with it.
Right.
This cartoon is able to say, see, this is relatable.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're okay if you have hiccups, if you mess up, if you slip, if you fall. Everybody does.
Yeah.
Pick yourself up and try to be nicer.
Yeah, I agree.
And this also gives them a way to talk about it when they don't know that weird feeling between happy and sad, or that feeling when they don't know a word for guilty, or a word for ashamed, or a word for anything like that. They can say, you remember this part of the episode when this happened? That's what I'm feeling like right now.
Well, even as an adult, you have those moments where you're like, I can't quite place what I'm feeling, but I feel small.
My emotions, what are they doing?
Yeah. And so it's kind of a nice reminder, too, just as an adult, to go and watch this and also feel touched and inspired by it, and then say, oh, yeah, that's a reminder that we tell kids. That's also true as an adult.
Yeah.
That sometimes you won't place exactly what you're feeling, but that's okay.
Well, and, you know, the lesson of this episode in particular, I felt, was that, you know, Peridot's thing was, everybody, all of you guys are defective. You're all defective. None of you are behaving the way you should be. This is not the natural order of things.
And really rubbing it into Amethyst's face without knowing it.
And she really hurt Amethyst's feelings.
But it's funny, right? This sort of thing is funny. And maybe teaching kids that what you think is funny, not always so much.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's, you know, I think that Peridot rather is starting to have to deal with the idea of empathy.
Well, she's also a very young gem. If you notice, she only had one previous form, and that's what she was running around in. So she's very much into the rules that she's learned, the society that shaped her. Everything is this way. She's like 12 in the middle of this, and this is a teenager and two adults, essentially, who are going, honey, no.
Well, and I loved her apology at the end of the episode.
Just a little recorded apology.
It was so sweet to me that she had recorded it, because again, this is going back to how it can be difficult to express your emotions. And so, you know, at this point, the most meaningful relationship Peridot has with anyone or anything in her current circumstances is this tape recorder. So that was a safe space for her to express her emotions, which she then was able to share with Amethyst.
The phrase that I wrote down from that is, I don't understand, I want to understand. Like, she gets that she doesn't know how to people right now, but she really, really wants to overcome that. And that's just like, yes, let me love you.
Yeah.
That's probably why she's going to die.
Aww.
Like I said, I'm that person. But it's like, you're getting really good character development, you're not in the theme, and yeah.
I do just love that final moment with Steven.
so
where he's,
good.
how do you feel? And then just the pause. Big.
Yeah.
Especially for
right in
her,
the
which
feels.
She's so
miniature.
tiny.
She's like Steven's height, and Steven is not big.
But again, you know, this is her. This is using big as a parallel for. It's not literally big. It's like, I did something that was difficult for me to do, and it felt really good.
It's a good emotion. I can't place what it is,
Yeah,
but I know that it's in the right direction.
Yeah.
So well written, just.
Yeah.
And I feel like her voice actor just had an absolute field day.
Oh, yeah.
Recording for her with the screaming and all the little.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, she's still a tiny demon in some ways, you know? Like, I love her.
She's an angry little Dorito,
Yeah.
and I love it.
Yeah. Old habits die hard, but we're getting there.
Do we have any final thoughts on these episodes?
Be more than your society dictates you're supposed to be. That's my final thought.
I like that. I like that.
Thanks.
Believe in yourself. Just straight up Sailor Moon.
I'm wondering if we're going to get an episode with Peridot and Garnet. Because the fusion thing is going to be the hardest for Peridot to overcome.
Yes.
Can you unfuse? You're making me really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, that's the big thing that she doesn't get. She's called her a war machine before. And we know that this is a very big deal and therefore a very touchy subject for Garnet.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see how that goes down, but I feel like that's going to be their own private apocalypse.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
Yeah, I don't
who
know.
knows?
I think that might be a down the line kind of
Yeah.
episode. Because I mean, you know, we basically have had 3 episodes in a row now of Amethyst and Peridot bonding being the most recent, and then Pearl and Peridot, and before that it was Steven and Peridot. So like next sequentially it should be Garnet and Peridot, but I think that that's a hurdle that's going to be much more difficult to overcome, as you say, Katie.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be one that they give us a lot more backstory with,
Yeah.
too.
Oh, yeah.
So that's going to be one that is probably going to be pretty extensive within itself.
Yeah.
Well,
I
and
agree.
I mean, we know the basics. We know that fusions are used for combat, and if you kind of look at the Jasper way of looking at things, it's a way for weak gems to be stronger. And that's all they see it as, is a combat technique. So for someone to stay fused, just, oh, well, they love each other and it's a relationship.
Yeah.
And for her to, we don't know how or why they left Homeworld. We don't know exactly how those events shook out. And I get the feeling that's going to be Rose's scabbard levels of trauma when we get there. Yeah. So we'll see. I think we're all just kind of silent going,
Yeah, thinking about...
contemplating our eventual demise from feelings.
But this is the thing, is that I think the reason that Steven Universe is so successful as a series, and why, you know, as a viewer I love it so much and I feel so attached to the characters, is, I mean, number one, the characters are all extremely well written. They're all very complicated, but they're also so not immortal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're
human.
they're very
They're intrinsically flawed.
yeah,
Which makes them more...
and the stakes are always very high. Like you know that any of them could suffer major trauma at any point. You know, none of them just get to live happy, simple little lives.
Well, and I mean, you look at some of the episode titles for this, and the last episode of the season is called "Last One Out of Beach City." So it's just like, Okay,
Sounds like,
last season we had war, and this season we have Unicron, and how are we gonna top this?
Don't know.
No idea.
Don't know.
And I had a viewer, this was like 3 weeks ago, so I honestly do not remember who it is. Once we learned about what pearls were made for, who wanted to talk about Rose and Pearl's relationship with that light on it. And I can't remember if it was her or if it was a Tumblr post or something, but someone posited that it had to have been really uncomfortable for Rose. Like, there's no way she didn't know that Pearl was head over heels in love with her.
Oh, absolutely.
But there's also, Pearl will follow her to the ends of the earth, Pearl is devoted, and there's no way that relationship's ever going to be equal. Because Rose Quartz may or may not have been a diamond, we're not sure yet, but that's another very pervasive theory. And Pearl is a Pearl who is still learning to be more than just a Pearl under Rose Quartz's care.
Yeah.
So that's one of those relationships where it's like, yeah, but also no.
I know.
There's no way for that to be a healthy relationship.
No,
the power balance
unfortunately,
is just wrong.
Yeah, it never could have been, but it's so interesting.
It really is so interesting, but it's also just like,
Yeah.
I'm suddenly super not okay.
Yeah, and I think with the revelation of Pearl being what she is, it just adds another layer of sad to that relationship, you know what I mean?
And we wonder why she has enough issues to form a subscription.
Right.
All of that.
Yeah. That being said, I love that, she is this character who has taught herself and has become more than the accessory that she's supposed to be. But yeah, that would be, I'm like trying to find a parallel in real life.
I don't have one.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
But I'm just thinking it just makes this episode, I think, so much more, again, high stakes, but for her, because this is so, again,
for Pearl when she's having the robot battle with Peridot. Yeah.
Because that's unheard of. Like, imagine if they were Homeworld, a Pearl being like, let me prove that I'm as good as you, if not better.
That's true.
They'd be like, what? This one is broken.
Right.
Well, and that's also Peridot taking everything that Pearl was trying to get away from and shoving it in her face. Mercilessly. Without Rose Quartz there to be like, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it shows that whole level of, again, feeling whole and feeling broken. Which, it's something that in a different environment they would say that's wrong. That then she's saying here that's more defending herself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And making herself even more unique and more a diamond in the rough instead of a pearl. A lowly piece of sand made pretty.
I just love Pearl so much. One of my friends asked me, he was like, so which of the crystal gems are you? I was like, I like to think of myself as equal parts Pearl and Garnet, which probably just means that I'm 100% Pearl who wants to be Garnet.
Yeah. Oh, no. I very much admire Square Mom, but let's be real, I am Bird Mom. That's just way too to not me.
I just want more Garnet because I just want to listen to that voice.
I know, right?
Just every second of my life.
She is wonderful.
I know.
Just like, yes, please keep talking.
Yeah.
You want to read the phone book?
Yeah. I'm like, can somebody just cut together every single line of just Garnet and I can just listen to it?
I'm sure someone has.
I'm sure someone has to. I totally agree.
Search that on
Help me
YouTube.
out,
I'm sure
interwebs.
it's a thing.
Tweet at me.
Hey guys, we have a lot of really nice reviews on iTunes.
We do. We do. We want to talk about iTunes a little bit because seriously, we've had one episode and we have so many reviews and ratings. Holy cow, you guys! You're all amazing. And if you're listening, if you're in the chat, or if you're listening afterwards, it really super helps us if you go on iTunes and you subscribe to our fun little podcast and you rate us, hopefully 5 stars, because you love us, right? We're all unique little pearls.
That's what everyone's doing right now.
Literally everyone has done 5-star ratings. I cannot express how much we love you guys. And leaving reviews also really helps because we're going on hiatus, you guys. The show's on hiatus, so we're going to be on hiatus, and we have absolutely no idea for how long.
Yeah.
Because we don't know how long the show. It's this great little limbo that we're all in right now. It's just super fun. So when you leave your ratings and your reviews, you are essentially telling our producers, hey, we really super like this podcast.
Yeah.
So when the show comes back on, the podcast should come back on too. And that helps us get back on the air, remain on the air, all that fun stuff. So in the same way that you support the show, it would really help if you would support us and leave some wonderful reviews. And when you do, you get shout outs on the show.
Yeah. So thanks to One by Me One, So Firus, RTSTSIM, Webster0105, and M094 for all of your lovely iTunes reviews. Sophirus, I'm sorry, Sophia, if I'm saying your iTunes name wrong, also is a co-host of the Lunar Sea Spire Steven Universe podcast and is thrilled to see that AfterBuzz is doing a Steven Universe podcast. We're thrilled that you're doing Steven Universe podcast. Not enough people are talking about Steven Universe. It's amazing. So
everyone should do podcasts. It'll be great.
Yeah.
We have Rosmista asking us, why can't you do an after show for a few episodes each? Then we kind of have, but going back into the archives is not something we usually do for an ongoing show.
Yeah.
And even though we're going into hiatus, it is still an ongoing show.
Yes, it is.
And that just gets really confusing for iTunes uploads.
Yeah,
and
if we start
all that
jumping
fun
around.
stuff.
Yeah.
It's like latest episode, suddenly let's go back to episode 1 and talk about Cookie Cat. He came from another planet. It's just really confusing for listeners.
Yeah.
But can we talk about Cookie Cat?
Just, can we point out the parallels to the crystal gems? Yeah, let's do that. Let's look at that opening theme and go, that's really cute. I'm going to cry. Let's do that.
Yes.
So yeah, those are our lovely iTunes reviews. We love you all. Thank you for doing that.
Yes.
And do you guys have any predictions going forward?
And now, your AfterBuzz TV prediction.
I had to
I
wait for
love
the
that
light
little
show.
light show. It's just so much fun.
I had
It
to
is.
jazz hands with it. You have to. Yeah. Just feels good.
Predictions. Well, I think at some point down the line, Peridot and Garnet are going to have to come to an understanding.
Yeah.
I think that there's going to be trouble right here in Beach City.
With a capital T, and that rhymes with C, and that stands for cluster.
Hey.
And I think that we're going to get a lot more emotional baggage and terribleness associated with the homeworld.
So must be Tuesday.
Yeah. Yep.
I think Homeworld is just going to sound more and more like LA the more we get information about it.
Like hanging out in the wrong parts of LA again. I found some good people here.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be like
some
Blade
good ones.
Runner LA.
Yeah.
Who needs emotions? We have the military.
Yep.
Just animated Blade Runner.
It could happen.
Well, actually, I think that was a thing. They made an anime.
Yeah, a Blade Runner?
Yeah.
I think so. You guys, there's an anime of pretty much everything. And
yeah,
everything
but the
that there's
Wolverine
an,
anime is so shoujo.
yeah,
It's
and
hilarious.
everything that there's an anime of, there's also like a musical of, so.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
And make it
Yeah.
sparkly, and then it's Steven Universe. So
Pretty much.
That's true. That's true. I need more songs. That's what I need. I need more songs
We do
this
need
season.
more songs. It's been a little bit.
Because Do It For Her was so good.
Again, talking about the, I needed those feelings.
Yep.
I think we're going to get Malachite back, and I think
Yeah,
that's
I
going
think
to
so
be
too.
more mid-season than season finale, because we've laid the groundwork
Yeah.
for that already.
I agree, yeah. And I'd like to see Lapis again.
I'm wondering if that might not be an option.
I don't know.
Because we had that wonderful foreshadowing in Chillatid with
Right.
that doesn't bode well. And given what Garnet has said about that fusion, that it's not stable, that they're
Yeah.
going to lose themselves and be nothing but rage.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not helpful.
No, it's not.
That's 20,000 leagues under the sea coming
Yeah.
straight for you.
Yeah.
That's not okay.
what
We're
you
gonna
wanna
have
hear?
that. We're gonna have. I'm waiting for Marty to come back, to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
because I keep looking at the title "Drop Beat Dad" and going, "That I want it. It's going to be awful, and I want it. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think the cluster is going to activate. Not fully, but I think we're going to be down to the wire.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I agree.
Because I'm that person. It's like, let's make it horrible before it gets any better.
Yeah.
And then let's deal with the aftermath because we're Steven Universe and we actually take the time to do it.
Yep. Yep.
All right, you guys have any final thoughts before we swing into an unfortunate hiatus?
No, I don't. I'm just so sad.
Keep talking to us until it comes back.
Yeah,
tweet at us.
Use the hashtag ABTVSU. Feel free to tweet straight at us. We love talking with you guys. And on that note, Alana, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Elena Jordan, ALANA. I know it's spelled like Alana. It's a whole thing. And on Instagram at That Elena Jordan Girl.
And you can follow me all over the internet at Emma Fife. That is my name, Emma Fife, EMMAFYFFE. That is all F's as in Fred. If you are listening, there are no S's as in snake. They tend to sound the same on the phone or when they are recorded into a microphone. You can see me on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzzTV.com. Ash vs. Evil Dead, Star Wars Rebels. There's a bunch of them. I tweet about them. I also do a Sailor Moon podcast outside of AfterBuzz. So if you guys like Sailor Moon, you should totally look it up. It's called Love and Justice. It's great.
And I'm Katie Cullen. You can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram at Kiaxet. That's KIAXET. I am also on Snapchat at Kia Prime. Feel free to add me. And I kind of live at the studio, guys. I'm here forever. We're doing Arrow tonight. It's a different time of the week. We do Star Wars Rebels. I'm on Blind Spot and Z Nation and just everything, you guys. Watch our other shows. They are wonderful. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you after the hiatus. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
That's your butt.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.